Lesson 2, Unit 4, Objective Analysis. Objective analysis, or the analysis of the objectives, is the next step in the design process. This analysis seeks to develop the project objectives based on the information developed in the problem tree, a process that included the identification of the focal problem, the causes, and the effects of the problem. The goal of objective analysis is to describe a future situation that would exist if all the problems were solved. Similar to the problem analysis process, the analysis of the objectives is also a participatory process that will require the involvement of key stakeholders and consultation with beneficiaries. During this step, the design team will identify the project objectives using information from the problem analysis step and obtain consensus from all participants as to what will be the goal of the project. The process starts with analysis of the problem tree, the focal problem, the causes, and the effects of the problem. The idea is to convert the problem tree into an objective tree. The transformation includes the change of the negative statements of the problem tree into positive statements. The focal problem is converted into a desired result. The causes of the problem are transformed into means and the effects of the problem into ends. It must be noted that not all the problems can be transformed into positively formulated objectives. Let's start with an example. The focal problem is expressed in positive terms and transformed into an objective: reduce death and illness related to water and sanitation related diseases. Once there is an agreement on the desired result, the next step is to convert the causes into means or results. Means are the situations that are necessary to obtain the desired results. This is done by rephrasing each one of the causes into positive desirable conditions. The logic says that if we have adequate sanitation facilities and skills to fix the facilities, then we will have improved the access to sanitation facilities, and then that will contribute to the desired result of reducing illness. All the causes are converted into means by changing the negative statement into a positive statement. The same change is done with the problem effects. They are transformed into ends or overall objectives, using the same process by rephrasing each effect into a positive desirable condition. If there's a reduction in illness related to water and sanitation, then there will be a reduction in the need for healthcare, which will then result in a decrease in community and medical expenses. This is now the objective tree. It's important that participants agree on this result. There could be a need to make some changes based on how realistic the objectives can be. Participants may decide to add or modify the problems and the objectives. This process also helps build consensus among participants. The objective tree is the basis for the next step, the strategy analysis. Strategy analysis is the process to organize the objectives into clusters of similar themes. This will create a group of possible interventions or strategies. The design team will then need to select which cluster or clusters will be included in the project. Based on the nature of the objective tree can be organized into clusters. This is the identification of the different possible groups or objectives that can contribute to the higher objective. For example, the objective tree can be organized into three groups: one that deals with facilities of water sanitation, another related to hygiene, and the last one on government support. Once the clusters have been identified, the next step is to identify the strategy for intervention. This is the process of choosing the scope of the project. The idea is to select the clusters that the organization is willing to address. In most cases, it will not be possible to work on all objectives. Some of them might be beyond the area of focus or capacity of the organization. Which one should the organization choose? Based on a set of criteria, the organization will choose the most feasible and relevant strategy. This is a difficult step, and there are many questions that need to be answered before a decision is made. These questions include: should the organization undertake all the problems identified or select just a few? Which interventions are more likely to bring the desired results? What will be more beneficial for the target communities? Are these interventions sustainable in the long term? Are the financial means available? And does the organization have the technical capacity? A process that facilitates this decision is the use of criteria to evaluate each one of the possible interventions. Examples of possible criteria include financial, social, environmental, technical, institutional, and economic. The criteria serves as a funnel that will filter those objectives that have a higher chance of success. A tool that can help in the analysis of the different alternatives is the weighted criteria analysis. In the table below, the first column lists the criteria to evaluate each strategy. Depending on the focus of the organization, some criteria may be more important than others. Each criteria is then assigned a value. In this example, we see that the criteria for sustainability has a 30% weight. With the help of a group of subject matter experts, each strategy is evaluated against the criteria, placing a value to each criteria in the table, and then multiplying the criteria with the score value, one obtains a total criteria weight. After adding the values, one can then identify the strategy or strategies with the highest number or the strategy that will meet most of the criteria of the analysis. The selected intervention strategies will be the basis for the development of the hierarchy objectives in the log frame matrix. The objectives on the top of the tree are translated into development objectives. The objectives below are then converted into outcome and output objectives. The objectives analysis and the selection of the strategy of intervention will lead to the development of the project objectives. At this moment, the design team should consider the following factors when selecting a project objective: the probability that the project will be successful, the cost of the project, project risk, the sustainability of the intervention after the project has ended, and the partners that are required to implement the project. Finally, it's important to keep in mind that when selecting the project objectives, one must follow some simple rules. Specific. The objectives have to be clear and simple enough for people to understand them. Measurable. They have to be measurable in order to track progress. Achievable. They need to be realistic. They are possible to accomplish. Relevant. They're relevant to the problem that the project is trying to solve. And time-bound. That it can be completed on time to provide the benefits that are needed in order to solve the problem. For a complex problem, the objective tree might end up with many intervention strategies. The organization might not be able to do all of them, either because some interventions are beyond their capacity or development focus, or require the intervention of other institutions such as local government. This is an important element in the design of the project. The intervention that the organization has selected is only one of the many interventions that are required to occur in order to fully solve the problem. The design should take note of this situation and make it clear that the selected project is contributing to the solution of the problem.